Okay, I want to show you how to use a mockup. Here I have a mockup that I'm using for my logo, and it's pretty much the same. If you've used the mockup before, it's the same process, but if you haven't used the mockup, you will proceed according to the directions here. So you see I have opened up logo mockup 2. I believe in the file, the resource file, you have about 3 selections to choose from. So you can pick out whichever one you feel works with your logo or your brand that you have created. So in this area here, you want to, this is in Adobe Photoshop. So you're going to open up Photoshop, and in Photoshop, you're going to go to your layers palette. So I'm going to go over here to Windows, and I'm just going to make sure my layers palette is up. So you want to go over here to Window and make sure your layers palette is up. And in your layers palette, you're going to see something that says place your thumbnail or logo layer here. What you're going to do is click on that thumbnail, but right in the little corner there's a little piece of paper type icon with a little square in it. You want to click that, just double click on that, and what it's going to do is open up a smart object. This smart object is going to be where you're going to place your logo. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this logo just by hitting going to select all, just pressing delete on my keyboard. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure I deselect that because I don't want those dotted lines there anymore. And then I'm going to open up a copy of my logo. Now you can do a copy paste, you can do a import, whatever way is easier for you to open your logo. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to file, and I'm going to open my logo. I'm going to open it on my desktop here. So I have my folder here with my logos here, and I have my logo saved as a PNG. You can open up your Illustrator file, it doesn't matter which one you use. And here's my logo there. Now my PNG opened up here, but I want this PNG to be in this area here, so I'm just going to drag it over to this file. I'll close that back up. Now this is my logo. Now you see, of course, it's too big for the little smart object document there, so I want to zoom out so I can see the entire page. So the easiest way to do that, so you can really see what you're doing, is to hit Command or Control T on your keyboard, and then hit Command or Control 0 so you can see the entire thing. So when you hit Command and Control T, what it does is put this transform box there. Okay, when you hit Command or Control 0, it's Control for PCs, Command for Macs. When you hit Command or Control 0 for after you've done Command or Control T, it basically shows you the entire document and where your entire file size is. So this is the entire size of my logo here. So I want to get this corner, one of these corners is a bounding box, and I'm just going to shrink that down to where I want. Now you may, if you have not changed any preferences in your Photoshop or anything, you may not need to hold down the shift key. You may not need to hold down anything. You may just be able to move your logo without worrying about it doing any kind of weirdness, But if this happens, okay, your logo does not look like that. Okay, it actually is supposed to be constrained. So make sure that if you shrink it, that it is actually constraining to the size in which your logo is supposed to look like. If you have a logo and you start pulling it down and you squishing it, this is not correct. All right, so you don't want to do that. You want to make sure it's the actual size it's supposed to be. So I have my preferences changed, so I have to hold down shift key when I'm doing a constraint or something like that. But if you have not changed any of your preferences, I think Photoshop defaults to where you can just pull from the corner and it actually constrains the size without you doing anything. Okay, so I'm gonna put that about right here, And I'm gonna hit save. Command S or Control S to save. It's gonna ask me, do I want to apply that transformation? I do. I'm gonna hit Command S or Control S to save there, and I'm just gonna close it up. You see right here what I have up here at the top. This is a smart object that I was using. Now you have to make sure you hit Command S or Control S to save that for this next step that I do to work. So I'm here. I'm going to close this file, and when I go over to my mockup, you see my mockup is placed here. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit on this mockup right in here. So you see I have some issues in here. Well, not really, but they kind of bother me a little bit. So you can be okay with putting your thing in the mockup and putting your logo there and say, okay, I'm happy with it. I got my file in the mockup. But is that really what your logo is supposed to look like? Is that really what are you happy and satisfied with the presentation that you have created? And if you're not, you can go in to the layers palette here, right here, flip that thing down, and you can start messing with some of the effects. Okay, so I'm just gonna go here to let's see, I'll go to, so this is the overall kind of light effects, and you see what happened here. It kind of takes that light off. So this is one of the things that bothers me here at the top, that embossing looks a little bit too hard for my particular logo. So I may want to go in and change that. See here in the effects, I can turn off the bevel and emboss. So I can turn it off. That, now see, I still have a hard light there. Have a gradient overlay. I don't need a gradient overlay, so I'm gonna turn my bevel and emboss back on. Pattern overlay, I think I want to keep that. And let's see what the smart filters say. It's the smart filters. I don't really like that. So let me go back and look here. I think what I want to do is I want to go into my actual effects and kind of change it. So I don't like this gradient overlay at all. So I'm gonna go in here, double click here, and I get my effects palette there, so you can see where the effects is. The gradient overlay is set at a vivid light. I can change that to a hard light, maybe multiply, kind of dull that light down. I can even change the opacity of it if I don't want it to be really as hard as it is. I think that light is too hard, for my logo. Okay, I'm a little bit up. I like that a little bit better. And you see in the layer styles here, you see these are all the different features that they have. The pattern overlay, if I want to check that off, I can. If I want to go in and mess with some of the features of that, with the pattern overlay, if I want to change that to an overlay, if I want to change that to, linear light, if I want to do something different to that, I think it was that hard light. If I want to do, change those things there. The drop shadow, if I want to take the drop shadow off, I'll pull the drop shadow out to where it's doing something else. I can do that. Let's go to the drop shadow here. The distance. See how that works there. So you can go in and kind of change those things to make it work a little bit better. So let's see. It's just barely. So the size is a little bit too much. But I really think the bevel and emboss is where I'm having the issue. Highlight mode, vivid light. Let's go to screen and take that down some. Yep. So now this only affects, when I save this, these effects that I've changed in this mockup will only affect this particular mockup and in this particular file. So after I hit that, I'm just gonna hit OK. So it's only gonna check, and so I feel comfortable about that a little bit better more than I did when I first brought that in. Okay, so the effects here are only going to affect this file. When I save this, and see, if I save it as logo mockup 2, then of course everything that I've put in here is going to affect anything else, the next time I use this particular mockup, because I changed all of these features in here. Okay, so I'm going to go and do a save as. File, save as. And I'm just going to put JJ Mockup. JJ Mockup there. And then I'm hit OK. Now, and I'm gonna leave it as a PSD for right now, initially, because that's the way I want it. But I want to bring that in. I'm gonna save it when I put it in my files and folders to save. Of course, I'm not gonna save an entire PSD file into what I turn in. So here, after I've saved that, I want to keep that working file just in case I say, you know what, I think I want this to be red instead of black, or I think I want this to be, and actually this is supposed to be a gray. So I may say I want the gray to come out more, or I want the black to come out more, or something like that. So I may want to do something different. So I'm gonna keep this as a working file for right now. But if I'm turning it in, I'm going to File. No, this is what I'm gonna do. If I'm turning it in, I'm gonna go here to my layers, go down here, flatten image. So it flattens that. I can no longer change it anymore because I flattened the image. And I'm going to go to File, Save As. File, Save As. And I'm just going to put Logo Final. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And I'm going to put JJ Logo Final. So this will be my final file here. This is the one that I turn in. Okay, it won't be that big file that I have there. So this will be the one that I turn in. So I'm gonna close that. And you see I'm still have my working folder here of all my files and everything. And then I'll build my folder that I turn everything in with my logo, my stationery, and my stationery mockups. I'm gonna do the exact same process and build those things here.